Should euthanasia be legalized? Merriam-Webster defines euthanasia as the act or practice of killing or permitting the death of hopelessly sick individuals as persons or domestic animals in a relatively painless way for reasons of mercy. According to statisticbrain.com, about 55% of terminally ill patients die in pain. About 86% of the public support euthanasia for the terminally ill or on life support, and 54% of medical practitioners support euthanasia. Hi, I'm Lyndsey, and I'm in the 86% of people who support euthanasia. There are only 4 states, Oregon, Washington, Montana, and Vermont, that have legalized physician aid in dying. Physician aid in dying is where a patient requests a lethal drug. They have to be terminally ill, and the physician supplies the medication. The patient administers the medications to themselves. One of the most well-known cases of euthanasia involves Dr. Jack Kevorkian, also known as Dr. Death. He was a pathologist, which is a doctor who studies and diagnoses diseases. He claimed to assist 130 patients in their own deaths. He had 2 machines. One was a Thanatron, or the death machine. This machine euthanized drugs. Then there was the Mercitron, or mercy machine, and that involved a gas mask and carbon monoxide. Most of his cases were assisted suicides. They weren't all terminally ill. Some of them were just looking for a way out of life. And a couple of examples of euthanasia extremities from euthanasia.cc. One woman's name was Miss Boyce. She was 70 years old, and she screamed like a dog when anyone touched her. She had asked for euthanasia, but the courts turned it down, and Dr. Cox ended up assisting her in suicide, and he went to jail for it. Sue Rodriguez was in her early 30s, and she was diagnosed with Blue Griggs disease, which is muscle deterioration. That means eventually she would choke on her own tongue. She asked the courts for euthanasia, and it was denied, and a doctor ended up taking her life, which also resulted in him going to jail. The last case that I'll be describing involves a 21-year-old named Karen Ann Quinlan, who collapsed and fell into a coma. And her parents were Roman Catholics. They knew that she would never wake up, and they went to the courts and asked if they could euthanize her. And the courts denied it and said that they would stop treatments, but they would still allow artificial feeding. In this case previously mentioned, she wouldn't have been able to administer drugs to herself even if she were in a state where physician aid in dying was legalized. In conclusion, are we more humane with pets than other humans? I mean, our pets get sick and we don't put them through surgeries, so we just put them to sleep. My aunt was diagnosed with oral cancer, and she was terminally ill. And at one time she tried taking her own life with her pain medication, and after that she had no quality of life. She was sedated, and she had absolutely no quality of life after that. So, as most of you know, the politicians have power to help legalize euthanasia. The people we elect in our office are who we choose to be our voice, meaning we have to communicate to our elected officials about where we stand. Where do you stand in euthanasia?
So who